What's up, beautiful people? So, have you ever wanted something so badly that you actually feel like you're not gonna get it? I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I feel like that's a gut feeling for a lot of people. And there has been this conversation. I feel like I'm hearing so many people use the word delusional now, where it's just like your dreams have to be, so crazy that you seem delusional to even dream them. And while I understand it, and I understand the concept of having a mindset that is big, and the whole thing, though, of being delusional and using that to your advantage is that you actually have the confidence, the consistency, the motivation, the mindset to actually go and do the thing that it takes to get whatever was delusional to you. Like, there are so many layers within being delusional to actually make that mindset work. Whereas there are a lot of people to where your dreams are so big and they make you feel like you're delusional to the point where you're like, I don't think that's ever going to work out for me, because the discipline, the consistency, the mindset, and all of these things aren't there. And you haven't proven to yourself that you can do the small things enough to be able to achieve the big goals. And so I feel like that is a lot of people. Like, that's a lot of us who feel like we have these huge goals, whether it's buying a house or losing weight or gaining weight or starting a business, starting a channel, saving a certain amount of money, or, climbing the corporate ladder. Like, there are so many examples of things that we want in our lives that a lot of us feel like we can't get. And so I have a nephew, right? And he is so cute. His name is Aiden. And he is almost 2 years old. And he's just learning his ABCs. And he's learning different words. And he is so funny. He knows the sounds that different animals make. So I'd be like, what does the cow say? And he'd be like, moo, moo. What does the dog say? And he barks. And he's at that phase where he just literally repeats every single thing you say. Like, you can't slip up around him. I mean, you can't, because he is going to say whatever you say. When I think about my nephew and the fact that he's learning his ABCs and his sight words, it's just like babies, they just learn. Like, they just absorb and they regurgitate, and they just they don't even understand everything, but they know and they trust the fact that you are saying things that they want to learn. He's not thinking about the fact that he doesn't know what, I don't know, what's a hard word? Like, he doesn't know what a building is, but he knows A and he knows B, and he probably knows that building, if we sound it out, starts with the letter B. I think that is what we need to always go back to, the fact that we can do this. Like, we were once babies who didn't know literally anything, and we've absorbed things, and we didn't look at the big picture of everything we don't have, everything we don't know. Like, Aiden's vocabulary has probably 10 words in it, but he's not thinking about the fact that in order to go to college, he needs to write an essay and know all of these different words. And so we just get so caught up in looking so far out to the fact that we can't even see what we're making progress on right now. I know I always talk about Atomic Habits, but he made this example, and I think it's perfect for this episode, because he talks about an ice cube and how you could sit an ice cube in a freezer, and the freezer could be on 0 degrees. And the ice cube is going to still be frozen. It could be on 1 degree and the ice cube is still going to be frozen. And for every single day, you can crank up the freezer by 1 degree. And the ice cube is going to stay frozen for a solid month. And it's going to look like no progress is being made at all. That thing is never going to melt. But on day 32, when you crank that thing up to 32 degrees, the ice cube is finally going to start to melt. And there is going to be a time in your life where there's a threshold that you have to get to that is going to open up the doors But until you crank it up and understand that your progress doesn't have to be big, it just has to be there. And even if you chip up one thing every day, like make one little chip at it every single day, like at some point, all of those chips are going to add up and they're going to count. And exponentially, as the temperature gets hotter by 1 degree, like the ice cube is going to melt faster and faster and faster as the temperature goes up. We think that transformation just has to happen so fast. It's like we're on this race. And I'm just like, where are we trying to go? And I'm guilty of it too. Like, there are times where me and my husband are having conversations and I'm just like, I just want this to happen now. Like, we are at a phase where we are just like ready for more. And we're just feeling kind of like, okay, we're happy with how far things have come, but like, okay, we've got to tap into something bigger. But, you know, I think that a lot of us look at transformation so microwavable, and we see like these reels and we see people's journeys and we see people's stories. And a lot of times we see it after the fact. Like, we've seen you shred 50 pounds and it's in one reel. You know, you've got like your before picture and your after picture. And it causes people and it causes us to feel like we have to speed up our progress. We have to be fast at whatever it is. And while I do think it is important to be efficient, I don't think that you have to be fast in order to be efficient. And so don't think that if you don't see your progress right now, that you're not making progress. Somebody commented on one of my YouTube videos and was like, you know, this video is great and everything, but I don't think these tips will work for me because you're already a big channel. And I'm like, girl, I didn't say that. But I'm like, you are seeing the fact that I am at where I am, of course. However, when I was first starting my channel, I was very intentional about putting how many subscribers I had at that time of my posting of that video in my description boxes, because I wanted to go back and see like how I was growing. And so in the beginning, you can actually see me chipping up and following, like in subscribers. Like at one point I would have, 300 and 400 and 500. And then the numbers started to like exponentially jump. Then it would be like 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, 12,000. 15,000, like after the week, like in the next week that I was putting up another video. So the growth in the beginning seemed small. And if I kept doing and thinking and self-sabotaging and feeling like what I was doing was in vain and it wasn't going anywhere, then I wouldn't even be here right now. We are so conditioned to looking at growth in numbers. But one thing I'm learning on my journey as I'm like trying to have a healthier and more fit life is that like the scale, it ain't accurate all the time. Like the scale may say I weigh something. But once I get my body scanned and I can see how much muscle I've gained and how much fat I've lost or gained, that is a lot more accurate. Once I take my inches, like you have to be able to measure your progress in different ways instead of looking at one specific thing. Are you growing in an area? Are you becoming stronger mentally? Like, are you living and being more consistent with how you commit to small things that you tell yourself you're going to do? Are you standing up for yourself more? Like, what are some of those under the surface things that you may have to get through and be able to do before that big thing can come? Just remember that everybody starts at zero and we all have progress that we can be making, but it's not a rush. It is not a rush. Alrighty, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.